Hi, I'm State Representative Eric Burleson, and we're doing another Capitol Report. Today, I wanted to talk about House Bill 1534, sponsored by Representative Kurt Bahr from the St. Charles area of Missouri. And it was an interesting discussion because last year I sponsored House Bill 423, which was the Healthcare Compact. That bill was designed similar to yours as a pushback against Obamacare, the recently passed Patient Protection and Affordability Care Act on the federal level. And there's been a lot of efforts to stop that legislation, and I wanted to kind of explore the three different ones. One has been initially states have sued the federal government.
Right.
Missouri is at least the Missouri Lieutenant Governor has participated in that lawsuit.
Well, last year we forced the Missouri Attorney General to actually participate in the lawsuit.
Yeah, our own Attorney General wouldn't participate until we forced him to. Yeah, and then so there's several states. I think 25 states participating in the lawsuit that's been discussed on the in the Supreme Court now. And that attempt is to basically say to the court that this law. This federal law is not constitutional, and they're using the court system to determine that. So then there's the other aspect, which was a bill that I sponsored last year, which was the Healthcare Compact, House Bill 423. We did pass it in Missouri, and then other states have also passed it. And so it's neat that Missouri is kind of setting a trend in that regard. But that bill is essentially doing what the Constitution was at the very beginning, which is creating an interstate compact of several states coming together and saying, this is the way that we're going to do things. Then what the interstate compact does is it's actually a mechanism of the Constitution. In Article 1, Section 10 and Clause 3, it says that states can compact with one another with congressional consent.
Exactly.
So the interstate compact that we passed last year is really using the framework of the Constitution in Article 1 and saying, basically to the federal government, we politely disagree and we would like to go our own way as states. And that's using the framework of the Constitution. This year, we're working with
my House Bill 1534, and the idea of this bill is the idea of the concept of nullification. It's a very little used and pretty much misunderstood concept in constitutional law. The idea of nullification actually started in 1798. Under the John Adams administration, there was two bills that were passed. They were known as the Alien and Sedition Acts. And then a number of states said they were unconstitutional. They basically banned criticism of the federal government, is what the Sedition Act did. And so James Madison, who is the author of the Constitution, wrote the Virginia and Kentucky resolutions. He was at that time in Kentucky, and then Thomas Jefferson, the author of the Declaration of Independence, or at least the stylist, sponsored the Virginia resolution. And these two bills basically said the Alien and Sedition Acts are unconstitutional. The federal government has no power to do this, and it's an abridgment of the First Amendment rights of free speech. Therefore, we in our states will not abide by these laws. We will not enforce them, and we will not allow them to be enforced, is in essence what they said. They also used the language to say that we as states, as a compact, we as states created the federal government. And as co-equal partners in this compact, we have a duty, right, and obligation to determine what is constitutional, what is not constitutional, what is part of the compact.
Yeah, it's a fascinating discussion because we were talking about this earlier, that it's very similar to if you have a landlord agreement. So if you're renting from me and we put together a contract, and both of us sign it, then if the contract says that you can only have you can only have so many cars parked in the driveway. Mm-hmm. Well, if in the contract you can only have 2 cars and you're parking 3, then you're violating the contract, right? So, but if we never had language at all related to that, that's another discussion altogether. It would be outside of the contract. So it's kind of an interesting thing. There's things that are called unconstitutional because, for example, if we violate free speech, that's considered, it's unconstitutional because it's explicitly stated in the Constitution.
Right.
But when you have discussions that are completely outside of the Constitution, is there something is that still called unconstitutional? It's kind of...
Well, we call it unconstitutional for lack of a better term, but really you look at the 9th and 10th Amendments. And the 10th Amendment is very clear that any power that is not delegated specifically to the federal government is reserved to the states or to the people respectfully. So the idea is people, the citizens, have sovereignty, have power. The idea of John Locke's concept that we all band together to do collectively what we can't necessarily do individually, and that we create then government to protect our rights, because it's easier as us as a collective to protect our rights than it is for us to do it individually. So then we have created a government to protect our rights. And so the whole purpose for government is protection of rights. And then the states are the sovereign entities that create the federal government, for the same idea that together the 13 states at the time of the ratification, now the 50, was we as a group of states can work together for national defense, for free trade, for certain specific things, can do a better job collectively than we could as 13 individual states. And so we created a compact between the people of these 13 different states, creating the federal government. And our founding fathers, just getting done fighting a war from a totalitarian government, decided we need to be very specific. What powers are we giving to this federal government?
Right.
And so the concept with House Bill 1534 is, here the federal government has created an unconstitutional law by creating a mandate that says you must purchase health care. Nowhere in the Constitution does the federal government have that power. They have exercised outside the bounds of the Constitution. So it is our duty, because you and I have both sworn an oath to protect the Constitution of both our federal government as well as our state government. And it's our duty as representatives to then say that is not a power to the federal government. We must protect our citizens from this abridgment of their rights. And so we have created this bill 1534 to say that bill is unconstitutional. And we use the language that Madison and Jefferson used in the Virginia and Kentucky resolutions to explain why it is that states, as co-equal members of this union, of this compact, have a right and duty in order to push back against unconstitutional mandates. And so then we do three things with this bill. The first thing we do is we say that no state agent, specifically really the governor or his agents, the executive branch, has the ability to implement Obamacare.
Right.
Which Governor Nixon tried to do, and we had to prevent him from doing it and run around the legislature last year. Second, it says that any federal agent who tries to implement Obamacare is guilty of a misdemeanor. So this is the teeth to the bill, saying, we're not going to allow the federal government to go make an end around the state. And the third thing that we do is we give standing to the average citizen. So the citizens, the regular Missourians, can sue in court if they're being forced to comply with Obamacare. So these three things are really giving teeth to this bill, because in essence what 1534 does is it gives support, gives teeth, enforceability to what we tried to do with Proposition C last November.
Yeah, that passed by an overwhelming majority.
71% across our state of Missourians saying we do not accept this affordable care, Obamacare.
Right. And I was talking with members of the state. I have, just in interactions with people that are either on boards or commissions, and they really feel in a box because while they may not like the federal bill, they feel that they are required to implement it, and so they often. A lot of the boards are looking for direction, and this is the legislature saying that if you're working for the state or if you're on a state board, you no longer have the direction to do that, to participate in the federal patient protection affordability.
We are giving protection to all these businesses within Missouri because they don't want to implement this Obamacare. There's company after company asking for relief from the provisions of the Affordable Care Act, and those that are in good favor with the current administration are getting relief, and those who aren't in good favor aren't getting relief, which is a whole other issue in that regard.
Cronyism is run rampant in today's culture.
Exactly. Yeah. So what we are doing as a state is giving relief to the entire state. We're not saying this business we like, we're going to give you relief, and we're going to protect you, and the rest of the state has to comply. We're saying the entire state is exempt. We as a state are protecting, or we as a legislator are protecting the citizens of our state.
And I think it's a great bill. I supported the bill, and very glad that you were able to sponsor it, and we were able to get it passed out of the House.
We got actually we got 108 people to vote, so we actually got bipartisan support because there was a few.
And almost a supermajority.
Almost a supermajority
in the House. And so the next step is it goes to the Senate, and hopefully it'll be taken up by the Senate and passed.
I already have a senator who wants to go ahead and hear it in committee and speak on the Senate floor. So we have support in the Senate for this bill as well.
Well, great. Thank you for taking time to join me, and it's great to be able to bring ideas like this to Missouri and also explain it to my constituents back in Springfield. I just want to say thank you very much for your work and what you're doing, and it's great working with you. If you have questions about this bill or any other bills, please feel free to contact my office. My number is 573-751-0136. You can also email me at eric.burleson@house.mo.gov. Thank you, and have a great day.